How to put English on the basketball.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of With the English podcast with myself and Sam as usual. And today we're joined by our guest from across the pond, Tony from Purple and Gold Mines. Tony, how are you? How you doing?
Good man, good. I appreciate you inviting me.
No, I
It's
appreciate you giving us your time, given the time differences and that, but be able to get something in the diary. How are you feeling after last night?
I'm feeling ecstatic. I'm feeling great. It's better than losing. So yeah.
It's better than losing, yeah. Are you feeling different to the Memphis win? Because I was quite frustrated against the Memphis win
Oh
because
no, man. That is a different animal. Memphis was special. Like that felt like you won on paper, but you lost your soul. Kind of like
mm,
like you you
yes.
you 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 lost like there was no winning that. Like that is probably the ugliest win I've ever seen the Lakers in the past 2 years. I think, you know,
I would agree.
like even I think the 2 minute report had like three instances where LeBron I think fouled, Rui committed something, if I'm not mistaken, and all three possessions should have actually gave possession to Memphis. So we should have never even won that game.
No.
So I'm just saying, like that is the definition of an ugly game. That's the Memphis game
Do you
for
think we
sure.
held back a little bit?
I think we have an mo of excuse me of just playing to our competition. Like I think this team has adopted an identity of we're too cool to like we have the switch. We can flip it whenever we want,
Mm.
and they really wanted to trick off that game. I think LeBron had what like 8 turnovers that game. Like it was
It's
just
mad, wasn't
nasty.
it?
All
Because Friday
yeah.
versus Sunday, there's constant turnovers, and then LeBron turns up Sunday and he's got like 7 assists in 5 minutes.
No, that is the definition of efficiency and crazy.
Yeah,
Like I think he's what the only five players that's done what he's done in terms of that efficiency of that because it was a triple double, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, oh yeah, 28, 11, and 17 with
17.
with
Wow.
with with 5 steals to go along with that and 1 block. Like I put out a tweet today, like you watch him still, and you couldn't tell he's 39.
No. And that's what gives me hope against I mean, that's what gives me hope for the playoffs kind of thing, or like if we can get to the playoffs, because right now we're not there yet, but it gives me hope.
100%. I think the difference from this season and last season, LeBron had to bust a gut every night to claw us from that 2-10 start. And it's almost like this season. I don't know if you feel differently, but he's almost like steadied himself with the odd night where he would turn it on. Look at the Clippers game, with that fourth quarter comeback, and there's been a few other handful of games where he was switching, but I feel like he steadied himself in and now we're
Yeah.
coming up to the run up of the playoffs. He said last night that he feels healthier, the ankle's still there, but it's troubling him less than it did this time last year. And I think we're going to see hopefully a different LeBron to last season playoffs, even though last season playoffs he was still, you know, tearing Memphis and Golden State apart. So I agree with you. That he gives us hope, and AD being healthy gives us hope.
Yeah, I mean there is a stark difference between going, what was it, 0-16 at 3 last season. Like there was a stretch of games, I think it was between the Warriors and the Denver where he was like 0-10 or like it was like he missed like 10 straight shots from 3 and he wasn't making it, so he was trying to do his work like other ways, which is just assist or going through the basket. And that was like one-legged LeBron, because you saw the difference between his jump shot now to what it is last year, and he's not the same player now. I think we got a better LeBron. Our hope is I think our hope is that our supporting cast is better than last season.
It
That
is, yeah, and I think you're right. I think maybe LeBron possibly in the off season worked on his jumper because he knows he's getting older and he hasn't got the bounce. Well, I say he hasn't got the bounce that he used to, but he can still get up there. But if he adds that to his game, and still adding things to your game at 39 is ridiculous in itself. But if he can add that, then he just elevates his game even further. Like where can you guard LeBron if he's gonna shoot from three and he's hitting them? Then you can't guard him out there. And then if you they'll get you in the paint as well. And I think I had a bit of PTSD at the start of the season when he was throwing up 3-pointers because he clanged a lot last season, and I think we put in the group chat that his ending percentages is better than Steph's. Now I know Steph's would be more volume. Obviously, there's a different sample size, but come on, the fact that he's even doing this at his age is just.
I mean, go back, compare it. Like, I'm not trying to discredit what MJ was, but we never saw that with MJ at that age. Like, MJ was throwing up numbers here and there. He was being an effective NBA player, but not impacting to the level of what LeBron is impacting. Not doing what like I don't know, man. If you tell me, like, if I close my eyes, I'm like, he looks like a 35-year-old. He looks like a. Like it just doesn't like it's just crazy to say like he's closer to 40 than he is to 30.
How many times have you watched the game this season, Tony? And then on Spectrum it comes up career high from LeBron's had a career high in something ridiculous, like just creating new records, and it's just like, when's this guy going to stop? People thought he was going to stop years ago.
I hope what I do hope for LeBron, if I'm being honest, like in a Lakers jersey, is that it never drops off, that he can go out his way, like be retirement, but at the peak that he is right now. Like, I wouldn't want him to be like averaging 12 or 15 or 14, like just end on a high note, because the impression that he's leaving is nasty. And during the season, like, there's way too many games where what game was it? Like, shit, there was so many games where he done, like the Clipper game. That Clipper game, like, where he took over, I think it was the shit. Like, it was like a 20-point turnaround that we were like down.
Oh yeah, we were
something.
down. We were down by 19, I think, early in the third, and then we didn't start the fourth quarter that well either. I think we went down like 25, possibly.
Correct. Yeah. It was something like that. It was something nasty, and then he just put on the cape and just said, "Clippers, I am your daddy," kind of thing. Like, it was.
This is our house as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you need to get out of here.
The rent is due.
Yeah, the rent is. I said to Sam towards the start of the season, I think I put one of our X and O's that about LeBron averaging over 20 points. Currently, he's averaging 25.
That's mad.
Seven rebounds, 8 assists. It's just like,
I think
it's even his plus and minus. Like, you know what it's like, Tony. As soon as LeBron goes out from the bench, we can't trust our second unit sometimes to hold that lead.
I think I echo everything you guys have been saying about him, though. Just like, he has been phenomenal at his age, and I agree with you, Tony. Like, my hero, my eldest son's named after him, Allen Iverson. The way he ended his career wasn't great. He's sort of mellow as well. Like, you want him to go out like Kobe did. Maybe not so much where he gets fouled intentionally and gets like 71 points, but like, you want LeBron to go out on a high. I always banter with Glenn about, and with other Laker fans about, LeBron and MJ debate, but what he does at his age, sports science, like, for me, Brady, LeBron, Cristiano Ronaldo, what they can do at the age they're at, probably Ronaldo and LeBron more than Brady because of obviously the quarterback position and how it's played. But the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo at 38 years old can run around a soccer field and do what he does, jump as high as he does as an NBA player, and LeBron James able to jump and run as fast as he can, and with the muscle mass, like, it's just unbelievable. You guys are witnessing and getting to watch that every game. I just watched a 10-minute condensed league pass highlights. I don't get to watch it live in person like you guys do and enjoy that. So you should make the most of it before he does go out in the next sort of year or two, or however long he wants to play until his son gets into the league and wants to play with his son.
So Tony, how would you assess last night's game?
Epic. It was probably our best. I think it's this team goes as LeBron and AD takes them. Like I think LeBron set the tone, AD as well, both on the and that's the most important thing, both on the defensive end and also on the offensive end. And when you see Rui going for steals, going for rebounds, when you see Austin actually being a positive defender on the floor, and you see D'Lo being a neutral defender, because like I'm not saying that he was lighting it up, but you get a steal here, you see the impact that they're doing on that end. It is an impact. Then the game changes completely, and it's just it's fun to see. It's good to see. It was a good win. I'm not saying that the Lakers have the Pelicans number, but like you were saying off air, like they are a good matchup. Like I do believe they are a good matchup.
Yeah, and I think there's one play where, like I said, the whole team's energy bounced off each other. But I think there's one play where we talk about a lot. Obviously, Austin can be a bit of a liability defensively. But when I can't remember what player it was, but I see him fighting through screens and getting that block. I was like, oh, okay, they're all switched on now. I know. Again, D'Lo is a bit of a liability as well, but D'Lo doesn't have to be Derek White. D'Lo doesn't have to be an all-star, defensive guard. He just needs to put himself about and be, make it hard for his opposite numbers life, and that's all he needs to do. And then he can focus on his offensive game. But I think everything just clicked last night. And what's probably the frustrating part is that we've seen two different sides from Friday to Sunday. We know what this team can do.
Yeah, that's actually that's the thing. That is what the season is. You see one game where they're competing against the JV Memphis Grizzlies, because again they're not even, that wasn't an NBA team, that was I think below a G League team. They would struggle with that.
Minus, I've got a thing for GG Jackson.
Oh, I mean, shit, we had the opportunity to get GG.
Yeah, he is a steal. He is a find.
He was very unrefined coming in, but Memphis has done, having them run him through the season like they've had in terms of like the opportunity has greatly developed his. And also they have I think it's Vince Williams or there's some, they have some diamond in the rough players, Memphis, and the culture that they have, the grit and grind, is respectable. Like it feeds even towards the, like this is not a one-off what happened to the Lakers. They've done it to other teams. Like they do compete, they do hustle, like whatever talent they kind of miss, they kind of figure out in other ways to kind of compensate. But going back to the Lakers, like once we focus really on the defensive end, like this is a different team. Like it's funny, the beginning of the season defense was our calling card, and now offense is our calling card, which is I don't know what to make of it. But that Pelicans game, that was an offensive display, especially from LeBron. Like on the playmaking side, like 17 assists. That's crazy, man. Like I was like, yo, like let's go. Yeah. Give me Denver. Give me whoever. Give me Boston. Give me the Sixers. Oh, sorry, not the Sixers, but just give me.
I know what you mean, and you're right. So when we've gotten to that stage of the season where our offense has gone up, that it's sort of gone the other way on the defensive side. So it's like we can't have nice things and just have it locked in on both ends. But I think last night we had it locked in on both ends. You mentioned before we came on air that sort of Zion really struggles against Lakers. I think that's going to be pivotal for tomorrow night. How do you see that going? You won't say that we have their number, but I'm pretty sure you're confident, right?
I'm confident. I just feel like here's the thing about the Pelicans that I've seen through the season. This team goes where Brandon Ingram and Zion takes them. Like those are the two pivotal keys of the Pelicans' success. And I think a big adjustment that they're gonna do a little bit more pick and roll with Zion. They're gonna involve him more on the offensive side, because Zion was, if you notice, they were deferring, like CJ was shucking them shots, Herb
Yep.
Jones, Trey, like they were all perimeter oriented way too much, but their bread and butter is their inside out game.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, it's a different look. And if they apply enough pressure, and honestly, like, you know how NBA games are, like a whistle can change the complexity of the entire game. So if they call it tighter than they were calling it, maybe that Rui steal that he had in the previous game that gets called a foul in this one. Like those are the things that could change the game. I think it's Lakers win it, but it's gonna be way closer than I would care to like. Or maybe we lose on because it's difficult to win back-to-back games like
I
that.
think
Like,
that's one of my main concerns, is that it's so close to the previous game. In a playoff series, you learn from the previous game and go back to the drawing board and watch film and try and rectify what happened the previous night or the night before that. So it's quite fresh from that win. Yes, I don't think tomorrow night's going to be the same as last night at all.
it's gonna apply a lot of pressure on Ham. This is the game where the coaches are gonna shine, because they're gonna make up the adjustments, and it's up to him to kind of counter those adjustments, see and hope for the best from our guards, because our guards have to be on it. Like you can't have a bad D'Lo night. You can't have a bad Austin night. You have to have, like, Austin was amazing this game. Like he was an Austin game. Like he was doing it on both ends. He was being efficient, and that's kind of like what you kind of need.
I
Like
think we
both of
can
them.
get by with one of them having a bad night, but we've had these games where both of them
Yup.
have had bad nights, and that's the end of it for us. If they both have bad games, then
Him a lot
yes,
more, and gives us a bit more athleticism, a bit more defense, and let LeBron and AD cook, because
I like Dinwiddie. I like
yeah,
Gabe Vincent. I think the thing with Gabe Vincent, once he gets his shot going, he's gonna offer both ends of the ball. He's only just come back from 6 months out, so he's gonna have to get his legs underneath him. But yes, Spencer can recall a Tony Snell. But
oh my god, yeah.
he's put in some big plays. You think of the Bucks game, and I can't remember what game it was where he scored like 26 points. Like he has been beneficial since acquiring him. It hasn't been all. I think it's just easy that once he has a bad game, that's it. That's throw him under the bus. But I think he's been absolutely fine. I think, like, you're right. It gives us options, and we can spread minutes elsewhere.
Yeah, the greatest thing that Darvin Ham did this game was not rely on Cam Reddish, not rely on Max Christie.
Mm.
And I'm a Max Christie fan, but
I'm
as
I'm
soon
a massive Max Christie fan. I do not like Darvin Ham's treatment of Max Christie.
I don't like it either, and I am a supporter of Darvin Ham in terms of what's available and what's the cards that he's been dealt with, because like I do agree that there's things that he could have done way better, way simpler. It shouldn't be this complicated. But to go, I think, what was it, 30 something, 36 and 12, like from from January onwards, like that's I think that's amazing. And I think that gets glossed over so easily that
Yeah,
but Max is man, Max. Let's hope we can keep him. Let's hope we can keep him.
I think we should keep him. I think he's got a high ceiling, and he needs minutes. But it's weird, isn't it? Because I'm pretty guilty of, when it's going well, never praising Ham, and when it's going awful, always criticizing Ham.
The Laker
So
way.
on your channel PGM and on Twitter, you're quite a tell me if I'm wrong, quite a Ham fan.
I am not a Ham fan, by the way. I am not. It just how can I explain this? I don't like when, and as a Laker fan, you just
Mhm.
said it. It's like everything goes right. No, Ham gets silent. Everything goes wrong. It's on Ham's fault. And the thing that the fan base does that I just cannot do is blame absolutely everything on Ham.
Yeah.
He gets a share of the pie, of the blame
Yeah.
pie or whatever you want to call it. But I wouldn't say that it's all on him. Like that's been my gripe with the whole situation. And it's funny how players sometimes say, "Oh, Ham did a great job this game," gets thrown under the rug. Like other coaches, "Oh, Ham is great," gets thrown under the rug. Assist like Jordan Ott is actually a candidate for the Charlotte Hornets. Oh, is he? Is he a bad assistant coach that he's trying to get a job offer? Like, I'm
Mm.
just saying that as fans, we love to blame, but there's
Yep.
root causes here. It's like once you fire him, Rob Pelinka is still going to be the GM.
Yeah,
The
and
thought process is
sometimes
still
it
going to be
can
there.
yeah,
Oh,
it's like to the
yeah.
devil to be honest.
Well, LeBron will
But
be
yeah,
the
it was nice.
GM, but
Hey, all I wanted Darvin Ham to ever do was call a goddamn timeout. That's all I've ever wanted. He hasn't got to be Phil Jackson and have all the X's and O's down and the triangle and everything like that. He just needs. He has done things that haven't helped him. We saw the lineup changes, and I know health was a factor. And players did play poorly at the start of the season, Austin Reeves included. And I'm a massive Austin Reeves fanboy, but he was struggling at the start, and he was right to take him out the starting lineup until we start to play himself back into it. So there are some things Darwin has had to deal with. And social media is a problem because we see 6-second videos, 5-second videos of Ham looking pretty clueless, but he's probably just thinking, I don't know. But it's almost like it just becomes a bit of a meme of him having his hands in his pockets, him not calling timeouts when at the end of the day, we're not there day to day behind the scenes with the players. I kind of get that this social media driven narrative that the players don't F with Darvin Ham is a bit false. I think from what you see on game day, they okay, they don't look like best pals, but I think they have a lot of respect for Darvin Ham.
I think so too. I think there is a level of, it's just there's players are allowed to be frustrated.
Yeah,
Players are allowed to be like,
human.
it's human nature. It's like saying, think about it like if you have a job and your coach or your boss or whatever gives you a set of instructions, you follow it and you still fail.
Mm.
And those are the things that sometimes, like, once you have the game plan and you've seen it in the players, post game, is like, we follow the game plan. We follow the game plan. The game plan was executed, but the results, it is like the Dante Exum game where the game plan was to leave him open. Dante
Yeah.
Exum just exploded. The game plan was to do X and Y happen. It's like it happens, but
Who
at the
knew Draymond Green was going to go 5 for 5?
they had the historic like they had this historic.
63% from
That's
3-point.
crazy.
Like
Yeah.
you can't. Yeah, they're. I think the biggest thing as well, and it's hurt the player as well. Torian Prince's minutes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
is Ham. That is managed by Ham, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he's now adjusting to that, and we're seeing less Prince minutes and him being utilized properly. Because when he is utilized properly, he's a pretty solid 3-and-D. He's not amazing, but he does his job.
Yeah. No. Here's a great summary of Ham, in my opinion. Put him in Detroit. Put him in Charlotte. Put him in any place that's developing in terms of like it's something new. I
Yeah.
think he would do great. for a team that's aspiring to be a championship team. And by the way, like, look at Nick Nurse. Like, you can see the difference between Nick Nurse and Mr. Glenn. Like, you can see how a coach can make absolutely the difference in a team. And for us, we're hoping that Ham takes that next step. We're hoping for development in the coach, and it's frustrating. And this is the result of it. Like, you hope that, like, and it gets kind of like lost in translation, but Ham outcoached Taylor Jenkins last season. Like, he outcoached Kerr to a certain point.
Again, things we're all quick to forget.
We all quick, but at the same time, he kind of fumbled that starting lineup against Denver, starting Schroeder. Like, he went small when everybody was screaming at, like,
but Dennis was his guy, and to be fair to Dennis, he had 2 good series. I think he just wanted continuity in that.
Correct. I get it, but at the same time, like, you iced D'Lo. You didn't go to Rui starting. Like, there's multiple things that you can dissect from Ham, and I would say, and it's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
To say that if you put, let's say, Nick Nurse as a Lakers coach, I think you get an automatic probably 5 or 6, even 8 wins more. Like, those games where it's like, they're on the line. There's like split decisions. I feel like a coach sets a culture. Yeah. And when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you have to be damn good in your job, because they like, you got 2 all-stars. You don't have you don't have like you got to be careful with what you're doing. And it's damning when reports come that six sources and all that. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Like I feel like Darvin Ham is just a mid to below mid coach, but I think there's a coach in there. I think he's done marvels to this team. He's added a whole bunch of sets. He's added schematically, like, the offense right now is, I think, 8th in the league.
Yeah.
Like it's a good offense. It's great, but.
And what was that? Did something come
perfect.
out the other day about we're the highest clutch team in the league?
Something like that. I mean, we have some. Okay, do you remember the start of the season when we were like the worst shooting team? We were like 29th.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
we're now 8th.
Yeah.
You know what the monumental task of going to the start of the season from 29th to now 8th? Like, we are only behind Golden State.
We are, yeah.
Like that's insane. And that also has to do, that's why, like, I don't blame Ham 100%, because, like, that's also on the players. That's also, like, Austin Reeves played like dog crap for the beginning of the season.
He had a bit of a hangover from the FIBA World Championship.
Correct. Like, he didn't have his legs. He was thriving coming off the bench, but then D'Lo had a weird ass December. Like, come on, you can't, like, some of this stuff is like, there's a reason behind some of the decisions. Are they correct decisions? Absolutely not. But I'm just saying, like, it also goes to our players. That's why it's called a team. At the end of the day, like, the team, if they're failing, it's not on one person. It's on everybody that's assembled there. So, yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned the fact that we've been missing Vando basically all year.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And Gabe, who's invested a whole ton of, like, $10 million is all you had in terms of, like,
Miami Heat are screwing us over every year.
I mean, he had a good playoffs. He come out.
No, but it seems to be that the Heat franchise not send us, but we get these guards up the Heat. I don't know if Pat Riley injures them before they come over, but we had it with Kendrick Nunn, and we never saw him. And I think he's playing in Europe or somewhere now. And then Gabe joins as our big free agency signing, and then we haven't seen him really until the last week or so, and now we're here at the play situation already.
Perfect timing. He might step up, come in.
I tell you what, when he knocked down a 3 last night, I was so relieved, like, Because if he can get that going,
I think he will. I think just give him reps. I don't think he's gonna be as hot as he was in the playoffs last season. But and by the way, his career is 33%. He's not known to be a good 3-point shooter. But last playoffs, he was like damn near 40, 45, something crazy. So let's hope he gets close to that.
And I do hope Vando is back for at least the first round. I know he's going to not be game sharp, but if he could just have a few minutes here and there, he's still his defensive game is so good that he'd still add something to the series.
Well, did you remember like the beginning of the like when he was starting to get integrated to the lineup, he was averaging like what, a point?
Yeah.
It was like 10%. Like it was nasty. And then they started to use him off like cuts, using him more in the offense. And they, like a light bulb, he started to average around 15 points the last like 4 games before he was injured. Like he was actually our best bench producer and not Rui, which is hilarious.
That's not even what we need him for.
Correct, but we do need him for that because we know what he can produce on the defensive end.
Yeah.
The problem is always like even in that Denver series, like they would sag the shit out of him. They would be like, "Yeah, you shoot that 3, you got it, man." Like, and then he would be played out of the court because the defensive upside is not enough. And by the way, sorry about my dog. Give me 1 second.
That's all right. My dog was barking in the background at times.
Great barking because of all the ham talk.
Yeah, it's just it's thundering right now, and she's crying a bit because of the thunder. So, but and yeah, I would cry too that the thunder are number 1. But you know,
I like that. That was nice.
Yeah, well played, sir.
One thing I was going to ask you guys, I suppose it leads on to Glenn wanted to talk about the future of the Lakers. Is I checked the other day because we were talking about draft picks. I was looking at draft picks for different teams and stuff. I completely forgot. The boys you're playing can choose to take their pick this year. So if you beat them, will they take the pick in spite, or will they postpone it to next year?
I don't think they will. I think the draft class is quite relatively weak from what I'm hearing. Obviously, I don't know the players that are in it, but I don't think they're going to waste it this year. I think they'll take next year.
I mean, there was a report about it. I think the rumor is that they are going to kick the can. So, but that complicates things for the Lakers this offseason. Because if the Pelicans take the 2024, you're in a position where you have three first round picks. The problem is if you, let's say they take the 2025, then you have 2024, 2029, 2031. The problem with saying that is 2024 is only available in draft night because once you pick it, it turns like that pick has a name. And we know that pick number 17 is greater than saying Jalen Hood-Schifino. So that's where the problem lies. So this offseason, in terms of improving, like the Lakers kind of have to wait until I think they have to pick the lottery. So the teams have to like go through the lottery. Once the lottery finishes, the Pelicans can decide at that point if they're going to take them. Yeah, that's normally because once every team is set in terms of like where they stand, then they can have a better understanding. Because another thing the Pelicans have to kind of figure out is Pelicans have way too many picks. So, and they don't have enough roster spots, and they have people to pay. So they are a team that's also in this offseason primed to make a trade. We were trying to get DeJounte Murray. They may be the team that can offer to get DeJounte Murray. So that's something to consider.
Yeah, and obviously it's this summer the LeBron's contract expires.
He has a player option this offseason. So, and by the way, like that's also another factor. Like I doubt he does this. There's a rule. I don't want to go into it because I don't even understand it, but he's over 39 and supposedly there's a There's a rule specifically for people that's over 38. And I think for the Lakers, he would actually have to opt in and then extend for 2 years. And that's where he gets
Was
the win.
that part of the new CBA?
That's part of the new CBA, yeah.
But if I could be wrong here. That only applies if you turn that age after that agreement, something like that. I think they were trying to say that LeBron was basically exempt from it.
He was exempt from it the first time. This
Right.
time he's not. So if he does a 3-year like new deal, like I think he's only maxed out to 2. So that's the problem. Like
Right, okay.
he can only do like a 2-year, like 2 to 2 to 2 after 38 or something like that. So it's an interesting problem, but it's gonna be interesting because once, let's say LeBron says, I want to be a Laker for life. Great. How the hell are you gonna improve this team? Because you don't have cap space. And that's what I was saying about Max Christie. Because if you re-sign Max Christie, he's a restricted free agent, but he could be the defining moment of being a first apron or a second apron.
Yeah.
And that's then you have to evaluate, like, are we gonna do a Caruso thing here again? Or are we just gonna let him go for nothing?
Did you have to mention Caruso?
Hey man, I have a hole in my heart.
Yes, a very big
and his name he wears numbers. Oh man. Wait, does he wear number 6 in as
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, number 6. Yeah.
I always say Caruso walked so Austin Reeves can run when it comes to undrafted white boys. But man, if we had both on our team, that'd be pretty. I'd be very happy, man.
Bro, if you dissect the Lakers, it's like, ooh, we have the recipe here. We have KCP, the two-way player that can defend and that can spot it, like the 3-and-D player that we need. Let's trade him. Ooh, Caruso, the 3-and-D player that we need, the best perimeter defender in the league. Let's trade him. Well, not trade him. Let's just let him go for nothing, for THT, which turned into Beverly, which turned into Bamba, which turned into nothing.
If we could somehow bring him back and have Caruso and Vando on the same team, defensively,
deadly.
We'd be yeah.
You imagine a KCP, Caruso, Vando, LeBron, AD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with how it works, the reason we've got Vando is obviously the domino effect of the whole Westbrook trade. And speaking of Westbrook, maybe LeBron will take a vet min to help the team.
Never. Maybe if the Sixers recruit him, who knows?
Yeah,
we did try. We were.
Well, they're one of my teams on the radar this offseason to try to get either PG or to get LeBron.
I reckon they'll get PG.
The rumors are PG. I don't want him on a max deal though, which is what he's going to want. So I'm out on that. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if LeBron did do a team friendly deal for you guys. I think that's the big key. Obviously, the season's not over yet, so it's hard to judge it. But I think from an outsider perspective, I think LeBron, AD being healthy's made a massive difference this year. And if he can continue that going into next year, and if LeBron can continue at his level, if he can get those pieces, like you say, those role players around them, whether that does mean that maybe Vincent, picks up in the playoffs, and then you maybe keep him going into next year, and you can build those pieces. You have got potential still to be into that. Because, like you say, some teams are going to have to rebuild and replay. Like eventually, OKC, and that's the thing is, like in a couple of years' time, OKC are going to be in a problem because they've got all these young players. Not going to be able to pay everyone. I know there's going to be new deals and stuff. So it's like, unless you're, like the most famous GM that I can think of, and I know it's a bit biased, but the Philadelphia Eagles GM, Howie Roseman, very much famous for his cap space, sort of how he manipulates it. And there's not really anyone in the NBA that I can think of that you go, the cap space, whenever you think of a good GM, you think of, Pat Riley in Miami, and you say the culture he's created and how he's got Spoelstra into one of the best coaches in the NBA, and how he's good at recruiting some of these players to come and play in Miami and play in this system and using that experience he had when he was on the Lakers and a Lakers coach and stuff, and turned that into Miami. And I think he's probably the only GM that you think of the top of your head with sustained success. But no one in the NBA, GM wise, has worked out a way to work out the salary cap and try and manipulate it in some shape or form. It just can't seem to be done. So there's got to be give or take.
I have one.
Who?
I have one.
Am I forgetting someone?
Well, this past offseason, I got flack for this, but it paid off dividends. But Dallas this offseason, like this past offseason, what they did, because looking into them like past season, it's like, what the hell are they gonna do? And they turned like Rashawn Holmes. They turned Bertans into Rashawn Holmes. They elevated through the picks. Like they did some cap maneuvering where it's like, oh shit, okay, cool. They got hard cap, but they signed Grant, and then they flipped Grant in the trade deadline for PJ Washington. Then they flipped Rashawn Holmes for Gafford. Like if you look at him cap wise, it's masterful what they did. Yeah. Because they primed themselves, they upgraded through the offseason, left themselves enough room to make all the moves they needed this trade deadline. So just saying that cap wise, I feel like that's the closest I've seen, because every other team is just spend more.
It's showing on the court, isn't it?
And it shows on the court. Exactly. It shows on the court where it's like, whoa, okay, interesting.
That's a solid point. Definitely.
I'm hoping they sweep. Hopefully they sweep the Clippers.
I want it to be a 7-game series, like, because I think whoever comes out of that, if we're the 1-8, I think we see them, or 1-7. I don't know how it is.
I think we would see. I think if we win tomorrow and we're down that route, we'd see Suns or Minnesota. From what I can see on the bracket I saw earlier today, but I could be wrong. It does get confusing.
Suns scare me, man. Suns,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Out of all of the teams, that they have the highest ceiling out of all of them.
I think they scare Minnesota. I think the season series is 3-0 against the Timberwolves. So I don't think
they face the Timberwolves. Is it
so the regular season they've their record against the Timberwolves is 3-0.
Damn.
So Timberwolves ain't gonna want to have them in the first round, but tough shit, isn't it?
A hot take for that team is the Timberwolves are better without Cat.
I don't think that's much of a hot take. I think it's quite. Yeah, I'm agreeing. Yeah.
I mean, just look up the defensive. Just look at the defensive rating. By the way, this is a sort metric because it's more team oriented. But look at the defensive rating that the on and off court stats of Nas Reed and Cat, and it's like night and day. Like you get a good offensive production, plus you get the defense from Nas Reed. Like you're just a better team, like better fitting team with Nas Reed on the floor than you are with Cat.
Yeah,
which is crazy to say, but it's true for that team.
I don't know when it's due to finish his contract, but he is going to get paid.
No, he already got a contract, $12 million.
What?
Nas Reed already got $12 million, I think, for the next 3 years or something like that. Yeah, and by the way, if all Laker fans or Sixer fans or whoever is like, why didn't we get him? Minnesota already had that in the bag even before the start of free agency. Like they were like, we're gonna sign you to whatever you want, and 12 seems to be the number you want. So there you go.
It's still right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have looked. We don't seem to want decent backup bigs for Embiid.
That's one thing. Sorry, Sam. You obviously asked about the future of Lakers. We need to sort that department out. I've liked Jackson Hayes, but we need to make sure AD has got good backup.
I mean, we saw Christian Wood go down, and our response is we have Jackson Hayes. Like, I don't know, but if you look at the market, who's really available as a center?
No one.
Not really.
I feel like we've had so many issues to address. There was not enough availability left to really focus on that center spot.
I mean, all the available centers are kind of offensive oriented. either way. And the more well-rounded, all-round centers go for a first-round pick, aka Gafford. So, are you gonna spend the 2029 pick on Gafford? That's the question you have to answer. Like, and Lakers don't spend picks on role players.
No. So
That
it'll
is
be
a tough one.
interesting. But for now, we focus on tomorrow night, and we'll see what happens in the playing game. Tony, the other reason I wanted to bring you on was obviously more for Sam's sake and listeners' sake than mine. So, but how did Purple Gold Mine start, and what's your channel about?
Oh man, that is a good question. Honestly, it was organic. It was as organic as you can. Like, the Purple and Gold Mine started thanks to Russell Westbrook. I mean,
At least something good came out of the trade. Then.
Hey, yeah, and shout out to him. I'm not. This is no disrespect, but that tenure for the Lakers, as a Laker fan, was very frustrated. I was very frustrated, and a lot of fans were. So, Twitter had this thing, Spaces, and all that, and I didn't know about it. I had Twitter. I used it just to look at Woj tweets and all that, and like, ooh, okay, we got a sign in here and all that. But once I saw that feature, I'm like, cool. So I started using Spaces. Then Laker Nation, when was on Spaces, and then by that I started to connect with other people. And out of the organic nature of it, I stumble across Zen, KB, and honestly, we just had a good chemistry, and out of that, it's just Purple. The idea of Purple Gomez is like, I'm more of a like cast space, more. I wouldn't say X's and O's because that's not me, but just more like logical, laid back, kind of like cool guy when it comes to basketball. Like, I played it in high school, but I'm nowhere near like anybody who's coached it, played it professionally, or other than that. But then you have kind of like the hot takes and just the polarizing Zen. Then you have KB and he is a coach, and then it's like everybody has a different background, a different set of skills, a different set of how to approach the thing, how to approach basketball, and we just bounce each other in terms of pause, but just in terms of ideas, in terms of just like
No, did he?
and the conversation just organically, like, we started Spaces. We started I think it was afternoon, or it was KB going to work. He would put on a space because he has like an hour long I think it was an hour long commute. It was Afternoon Lakers, and we were just, and that turned into Daytime Lake Show, and then it turns into Lake Show Today, and it turned into PGM, and it just, things just, man, if you have something and you work to be yourself, and it just, everything kind of just opens up, and if everything just kind of cultivates into what it is now. It's like, sometimes you don't have to force things to happen. It just happens, and I'm lucky to find Zen, and I think everybody, the community, we've been growing, and we're thankful because we're not like, it's just, it's hard to explain, but at the same time, it's just, if you work hard on it, you work hard on yourself, you work hard in terms of like just watching the Lakers, like
I was gonna say, you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it because you want it, like you want to talk about Lakers. You're doing it because it's your passion.
I mean, if you're doing it by the numbers, like, you shouldn't do Laker content. Like, the hardest thing to do, let's say, shout out to, let's say, Swipa from the Denver Nuggets. Like, he covers Denver Nuggets. He's probably one of the biggest social accounts when it comes to Denver Nuggets. But Laker content, like, who's of it? Like, you have coaches, and you have Laker Nation, you have All Access Lakers, you have like every single account out there, and but the thing is, like, for us, we never intended this to be a thing. Like, I just wanted a space to vent. I just wanted a space to just talk to my friends, talk to people that are frustrated as I am, and just And that's what I read, because we're like, hey, are we making money out of this? No, we're not. But it's growing. Hopefully, at some point,
it's doing its job, because
yeah,
you guys have been welcoming to me, obviously, and I think I mentioned before that Americans don't really give the respect we deserve for following, an American sport, given we,
Speak for
sacrifice
yourself.
sleep and social life and, partly
yeah,
family life and the rest of it. And our sort of opinions get dismissed. But you guys have, been welcoming from day one, and you can tell when listening to your daily shows that the energy is just so natural. And I generally thought, and I don't know if you are, but it felt like you just a group of friends that grew up from school and hang out all the time and just knew each other for life. That's how it looks from the outside in.
yeah. No, that's where it's like we're blessed that it happened, and that's kind of like the benefit of having it organically, but also that's the benefit of trying to do something genuine, because it's like when you're, because the thing is, if you're trying to portray something that you're not, it's going to show. If you're going to portray, like if you're trying to build and force something into fruition, it's going to show in the content. And the content is like, sometimes we go overboard because we go overboard. Sometimes we have to reel it back. Sometimes we lay a dud, and we don't care, because it's kind of like we're at the same time having fun, and we're at the same time we're experiencing this as everybody else is experiencing it. And and the best thing and the idea of Purple and Gold Mines is, bro, you can have an opinion. You can be a Sixers fan, you can be a Bulls fan, you can be a Shanghai Sharks fan. I'm just saying, everybody's welcome, because there's good knowledge. Because I only watch the Lakers, but I also, in my free time, if I have time, I watch other teams. And I'm like, I don't know the ins and outs of the Nets. I don't know the ins and outs of the minutia.
To be fair, I don't
the
think the Nets. I don't think the Nets know the ins and outs of the Nets.
I know, but I'm just picking
No,
up.
I get what you're saying.
Even the Wizards, like the Wizards are my home team. Like I'm close to them, and I watch them, and I'm like, I don't even know, who are you? Like, but at the same time, like that's what I like to hear, is different people's takes, because sometimes I'm so locked into the Lakers that somebody from the outside, maybe Sam, says like, hey, take a step back, you guys are effed, or like like something like that, where it's like, I like hearing different opinions, and a place where everybody can just have an opinion, a discussion. You don't have to be a Laker fan or Dom to be a Laker fan to be in PGM, and be in playback and in the fan cave. Like, we're just being supportive, and we just want to grow, and we don't want to grow. We want to experience new things, because, and by the way, I'd be lying if we don't want to grow, but at the same time, we just wanted to go where it leads us.
If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Correct. Like, if it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the same time, we're just having fun. When something is not having, when you're not having fun with it, it's time to reconsider. That's my opinion. Like, if you're having fun,
I can tell you from my point of view, you guys have been good therapy for me.
I appreciate, man. That really, thank you.
Because like you said, like you wanted to find people to rant with, like, so when these things are happening with the Lakers, and even if it's just a group chat, because I don't always get to jump on the show given the time difference, like that's enough therapy to. Because over here, not many people like NBA. I always say to Sam, like, it's a bit of a secret club if you like NBA over here, because everyone's so invested into soccer and the Premier League, and that's all this country's really about. There's not a lot of money in basketball. I try and watch my sort of local team, but there's no one really else to go with. There's only like a few friends that sort of.
But the thing with our local club as well is, sorry to cut you off, is they had to drop out of the British Basketball League, the Division 1 of the league behind the British Basketball League, because they couldn't get the funding and the support and the stadium. So the arena that they play in right now is like, I haven't been, but Glenn has, but it's not really designed.
It's
They're trying to change.
It's a sports hall.
Yeah, it's just, and it needs to
Essentially,
get.
basketball was probably like the sixth, followed maybe even below that sport in the UK. So to have people across the pond who are really into the NBA and really into Lakers, that helps me sort of get through these shit times of the Lakers trying to piss us off all the time.
You know, can I just say, like, I'm not from the States. I'm from Puerto Rico, and
Mm.
I experienced something like that because even in the 90s, like at home, we didn't have access. Like it was available. You could watch probably an NBA game locally, like if you have cable, but at home, at least where I grew up, it was kind of strict in terms of like, hey, school, do this, do that. We just physically didn't have access to certain things.
Yeah,
But that's when 2000s come in, and I didn't see the Lakers season, but I saw the playoff run, and that's where like I knew what Michael Jordan was. I knew all of that, but I never like watching it like I am now. That was never a possibility. That was never on the table. And I kind of understand what you guys are going through because like there's limitations even in Puerto Rico. Like you can't really watch certain aspects in terms of like NBA League Pass like that. And sometimes the commercials are just and
Mhm.
but it's interesting because your devotion to it inspires also us because that's kind of like overreaching how basketball is kind of like influential also in other countries. Like I also know a friend, Odd Sneaker. It's been a while since I've seen him, but like he's from Australia and he's a Laker fan. And one of my first podcasts was with him, and I was like, "Yo, like, how did you get involved with this?" And it's like everybody has a different story and how they got connected to basketball. But it's funny how it's sometimes once you're hooked on it, you can't let it go. Like
Agreed.
once
Yeah,
like that's just one thing where it's like once you dive into that, you're like that's for life. Like even if I'm basically doing something else, like I'm always gonna be a fan of X, like X team. So it's like it's kudos to you guys because I know it's not easy. And the NBA app, that's the one common thing from Australia that I've heard of, and now from Europe, it's just it's ass.
it is, but it allows us to watch. I can watch every Laker game. I can watch every other game. I can watch the playoffs. And I guess before I got into it, I wasn't aware of the sort of the access to it, and I've committed to it since. I don't watch the regular season games live because that would be ridiculous. I'd never get any sleep. Sam does more so than me, but when it
That's
comes,
so
when it
wait,
comes,
so when it's like 10 o'clock here, or sorry, when it's
So
game
I
time, like
yeah.
what's your
So
time
my
let's
difference?
just
my
say
my
most
games
Laker
start at
games.
midnight, and yeah, Lakers games are 3 a.m.
Brilliant, yeah.
So I get the midnight games for the
Like for
Sixers.
instance, Pelicans
Damn.
tomorrow night, because obviously it's played at New Orleans. That's half midnight here, so it's like, do you get a few hours sleep first and then watch it, or do you stay up the whole? Because if we win, you can't sleep straight away.
So what do you do with the like let's say finals or things like that?
I mean, the last year playoff run, um, I was quite fortunate last year because I had a newborn son and he was waking up for feeds.
Oh,
So I
congrats.
was able to, thank you. I was able to feed him whilst the game was going on and put him back to bed. But he's a bit older now, and if he's going to wake up in the night, he's going to cause a massive fuss. But
Mm.
essentially, that was allowing me to watch 3 games, and then by the time the game had finished, I'd basically be close to getting up for work. So you just keep going. You just keep going for the day.
That's a commitment, man. That is a
Yeah.
commitment. And as a father, I can understand it because sometimes when my kids they do wake up during the night, I kind of stay awake. And around my time, like a Laker game would finish around 1 a.m. like
Mm.
normally. Like that's when everything's done. But then I have to
Post
wake up
game.
like at 5 a.m. to get everybody ready for school,
There you
get
go.
everybody
So,
like,
yeah.
and then it's like, yo, when they have bad losses, I am so pissed because it's like
Mhm.
I literally wasted 2 hours of like
Yeah.
I could have been sleeping at 9, and you guys lay an egg like this, and oh man,
It can set
like,
it can set your mood for the day. All I can say
yeah,
is I have a very, very understanding wife, and that helps me. She lets me enjoy my sports. She'll probably thinks I'm stupid for sacrificing sleep, but yeah, she's very understanding.
likewise here, likewise. Like she says like, hey, you could have picked something in the East Coast, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah. You
Indeed.
could have picked those Washington Wizards.
Yeah, the great basketball. You get your eyes trained on them. Great basketball. Like
Cheap tickets. Cheap tickets.
that is, man. I had an opportunity to do that, but I had other things. I had an opportunity to watch the Lakers Wizards, and something came up that I couldn't say no to it. I'm like, crap. But next year, if LeBron's still on the team, if the team's still competitive, I am gonna watch a Laker game live, because it's kind of like every time I want to, something happens. I'm like, shit. But yeah,
I think my plan is I always say to the wife that my 40th birthday, I have to get over to LA and on a home stretch and watch a few games.
Yeah, I recommend that for sure. I always do home stretches when I can. When I'm out there, try and do a couple at the same time. But yeah, sorry, my contact lenses are playing up. I left them in all
Sorry,
day.
Sam. We'll get on to X's and O's.
My,
And if you're not aware of X's and O's, we throw out a few statements, just quick fire. And if you agree with it, it's an O. And if you disagree, it's an X. So I've only got 3 for tonight. So
and they're all Glenn's. They're not. I didn't have too much input
well,
on. I agreed with them
no, but
pre-call, but
it's
what?
Lakers bias. So you could say I've gone easy, uh, for Tony, or you could say different. But let's see. So number 1, Tony, is Lakers will win the 7th seed and cause an upset in round 1 against Denver.
yes.
Yeah, that was
I
quick,
bro, like the
confident.
fan in, okay, the betting man in me would not put any money on it. The fan in me would say yes. Like it's like the logical person in screaming, but uh, that is cool.
If you're not a better man and you can give your money to Michael Porter Jr.'s, I'm sure a parlay on.
Oh damn. Yeah. That's a good one.
Or Otani's interpreter. He's been done for fraud.
Wow. But so that was a nice quick. Oh, you think we're going to go through to for an upset then? But I really hope that happens. By the way, I really.
I'm taking it game by game. So I'm focusing on the Pelicans.
Yes.
And then whatever happens with the Pelicans, I go on to the next game. Like that's kind of like how I have to think of it, because people are kind of celebrating like, oh, we made the AC, we're playoffs. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not over yet. It's really not over yet.
I'm just sick of hearing the Denver call Mike Malone the Lakers daddy. Like that winds me up.
You know that it doesn't really affect me at all. Like,
I wish I had your temperament towards it.
It's man, when a team is that good, and when I say that good, that they're that good, like you just have to tip your hat off. Like it's like blaming it on D'Lo, blaming it on Ham. It's kind of is what it is, man. Like at the end of the day, like they make that. Once you see Jokic fade away one-legged 3-point shot on an AD, covering the, like literally defending it correctly, and it's like he makes it, you're like,
we're done.
Bye.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Nothing you can do. Like it's just like see you next year. Like like I mean it's frustrated. I'm mad, but it's like we just had no answer for it, and I think we still don't. But I think we could. So that's a good.
Maybe different personnel, different
vibes.
Start of the playoffs. They're different this year. We'll see what happens.
Hey, Derek White mode, D'Lo. I don't know shit.
Darvin Ham has activated playoff mode. He called a timeout, so
Hey, bro,
we're locked in.
people were crying on the timeline, like at last he sees the light.
And he did it early as well. He was like a 5-0 run or something ridiculous. It was like timeout. I was like, did he just? I thought they called the timeout at first.
Do you follow Tim Cranges by any chance?
Yes. Yeah.
He had a tweet out there and he follows it. He does the stats. Like he's amazing when it comes to that. But
Yeah.
there's one particular one that I always follow is like he goes game by game and he says the Lakers have a 55% or 65% play calling. And play calling is just like they run a set, they run their double drags, they run sets. And you can see it when they freelance. And normally when they freelance way too much, they get in trouble. And that's on the coaching. And you see it when they do more than 45% or 50%, something like that is. They win it. They're in almost like a 90 percentile. Like they're most likely winning the game. Mm-hmm. So if they stay disciplined, I think we got a shot. Like that's the end of that. But yeah, it's
right. Next one, Tony. I think you might have answered it earlier, but LeBron James will sign a 2-year max extension before finally retiring. If that's even feasible contractual wise.
I think it's feasible. And yeah, he's probably going to get that. He's probably going to get 50, 60, 60 or 56 or something like that. Yeah, I think he has two more solid years.
Yeah.
And I think he calls it quits. I hope it's with the Lakers, but I don't know. It's to be determined. But I think most likely a Laker. But yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, I think he'll stay.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping. I think I mentioned last week that I think his Lakers stint is the longest stint he's had with a team, or equal to his first Cavs stint. So he's put some years into us.
By the way, while we're recording this, the Lakers status report just dropped.
No. Don't do this to me, Tony. Don't do this to me.
Yeah, I'm not. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the only thing probable is LeBron and Anthony Davis back spasms questionable.
I tell you what, LeBron has been questionable all year. Now he's probable. Locked in. He is locked in.
No, he can smell it. He knows that the time is now. So he's locked in. Anthony Davis is gonna play. I'm just saying that at least it's confirmed like it's back spasms. It's not like
the reason I get anxiety because we seem to have a theme of one comes back, someone else drops out. So I thought he was gonna give me some bad news there.
No, I mean let's not do that. No, he's like Austin Reeves said post game, like, no, I'm gonna drag him and he's gonna play. Like,
I'm respect to Austin Reeves, by the way, 82 games, first time since KCP. So
shout out to Austin. I mean,
Iron Man.
I'm not gonna lie, like the four of them have been just, I think combined they don't even have 20 games. I think like combined.
I know, like, and that's what's frustrating that we're in the play-in in the AFC because we've had a. I think normally we have the stars out, and this year it's been the role players out and the stars in.
But you do realize, like, and I get it. I'm not trying to advocate, but you do realize, like, this is probably a historic season by itself.
Yeah,
like because like if you look at the offense and you look at how the offense started, like I think last year Kings had the best offensive rating. Like they were like top.
Yeah.
And now this year, I haven't looked at it, but I think it's still way above what was last year. So it's like last year, this record right now gets you fourth.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it's crazy to say. Like it's just and by the way, a Sixer fan, Sam, I'm sorry, but the East is just putrid. Like it's just like,
thank you, Tony.
It's like Boston and everybody else. Like there's just the
Boston trash. That's what
I wouldn't say trash, but it's like my hope was like, oh, the Sixers, like the drop off would be Boston, Sixers, Bucks, and then everybody else.
That's what it would have been if Embiid didn't miss so much of the, and like I say, Maxey missing 4 or 5 games with the concussion, but and then you guys have seen it this year, like when you've got a healthy AD and stuff like that, it does make a difference. And it's just unfortunate, like you say, that this year the win column threshold was much higher to get a home court, let alone home court, just to get into the non-playing part of the normal regular season playoffs. So
for a Laker team struggling to get to 500 late last year, we should be laughing at the fact that we're 12 games or whatever it is, 13 games above 500, but it's still got us in 8th. Crazy year.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. Like, what can you do? Like 5 games from Ham that he calls correctly, and we're in the 6th or 5th spot. Like, is Ham is the reason why we're here? Yeah, but at the same time, we're not a horrible team either. Like, we're not bad. It's just everybody else is they're just good. Like, give props to OKC, give props to Minnesota, to Denver, to Dallas, to the freaking Warriors with their Paw Patrol. Like, look at the Paw Patrol Warriors. Like, I'm just saying, like everybody. And by the way, this does not bode well for us next season, because Wemby's there. Rockets are going to get better.
Yep.
Utah may decide to stop tanking midway through the season. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't see any teams
Memphis
dropping
will be
off.
back.
Memphis will be back. I don't know, man. Like, last season, if we're fighting for 10th again or something like that, and we're like 15 or 18 games above 500, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, hopefully next season the East can pick things up, so it's harder to get those high winning records, because I think that has a play in it. Last one, Tony, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. And this might be your favorite one. Darvin Ham will be fired in the off season.
Yes.
Do you reckon too much noise?
I think there's way too much noise. I think there's a thing called success, and I think results matter regardless of the process that you attain them. And if the process is questionable but the results are there, he keeps his job. But if the process is questionable and the results are not there, he's probably going to lose his job. And when I say that, is like, I think for him to retain his job, he needs to make a deep playoff run.
Win.
And, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if let's say the Lakers go to the finals, is Darvin Ham going to lose his job? No.
No, I shouldn't think he should.
No, and I don't think he will. But if he's a play-in exit, a first round, like he gets beat by Denver again, swept again, I think you have to make a change.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not an advocate for Ham. I'm not a supporter. I'm just saying, like, shit, you have to make something.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Tony, really appreciate your time this evening. Before we do go, where can we find you on socials?
You can find me at Twitter at Bald Mojito, or on Playback. That's playback.tv /PGM Fan Cave. We normally host the Lake Show today. That's normally every post game, every pre-game. We're there 4 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter most of the time. But I do appreciate you guys. You guys are doing an excellent job, by the way. And anybody who wants to do this in terms of podcasting, talking, venting, just pick up a mic and just go for it. Yeah, that's the best.
Agree.
Thing.
Yeah.
Agree fully.
Well, Sam, you better go before your contacts kill you.
And the internet, I've come inside because the internet is playing up, and so I had to change the camera and stuff. So there was a couple bits I need to potentially edit, but hopefully we might have picked it up on the recording. So apologies for the listeners if they missed a couple of bits, but I will try my best to to fix it. Glenn, do you want to do the exit?
Yep. Please like, subscribe, and share. You can find us on X at with the English one. And why is it number one, Sam?
Because we are the only podcast called With the English.
How to put English on the basketball.